Emotions are the tools you need to build fulfillment. We're going to talk about it on today's podcast. Hi, my name is Michael Johnson. I'm a ballroom dance professional, a life coach, and a peak performance expert. I'm part of a group of motivated people who are dedicated to attaining emotional mastery and unlocking our full potential. We've realized life is a dance. The ups and downs can spin you out of your mind, but it's time to take back control. It's time to become a lifer. We don't believe others are responsible for how we feel. In fact, we don't believe anyone can make us feel anything. We are a new breed of overachievers. Emotional mastery is our journey, and unlocking our full potential is the key. Welcome to the journey. We are lifers, and this is Majic for Life. What's up, lifers? Michael Johnson here with the Majic for Life podcast, and I'm so glad you joined me here today. We're going to be talking about emotions being the tools. And obviously you're here because, I talk a lot about emotions, and we want to try to build these tools as best we can. And this is so that we can build a fulfilled life. So what's that all about? Well, we want to talk about, let's say, a hammer. Well, what's a hammer for? Well, you can use a hammer for all sorts of things. You take a traditional hammer and it'll hammer a nail in. If you had to, it could hammer a screw in if you hit it hard enough. It's probably not the best use of a hammer. And you can also use a hammer and the two little prongs on the backside to pull a nail out, which was kind of convenient, right? You have a hammer that can pull a nail out just in case the nail gets bent when you're hammering it in or whatever you're going to do with it. I think so many times we forget that the emotions that we are doing are tools for us to build our life with. And little by little, we have to improve the tools, because you could screw in a screw with your hands, right? You just take your fingers and try to start screwing it in, but they put those little notches in it, whether it's a flathead screwdriver or a Phillips head screwdriver with the plus on it. And you could take a screwdriver and screw it in. Now, with that better tool, you can actually get the job done better and build what you're building faster. Now, if you take it one step further, people realized, gosh, I don't want to do that by hand. So they started making drill bits that had the same screwdrivers in it. So now you can use a drill and a drill bit. Now, this isn't rocket science if you've put anything together or built anything. And you can use that to screw in that screw. Now, that goes really fast, and you can get it nice and tight. So there's lots of benefits. Your hand doesn't hurt. For those of you that have tried to screw something in that's really hard, your hand gets tired, your arm gets tired. It takes a lot of energy. It's exhausting, and usually by the time you're done and at the end of it, you're thinking to yourself, gosh, I don't want to do that again. So if you have a drill, that makes it go easier, right? So this is what we want to think about here. If you could take your emotions, any one of them, and you could essentially do it by hand, right? Just like screwing in that screw by hand. That's going to be rough, right? But if you can actually get a drill, man, you can certainly use that emotion much better. Now, that's maybe oversimplified, but the truth of the matter is it's quite simple. You have to practice. And that might sound strange, but you do have to practice. You have to practice your emotions just like you would practice anything else. And I know I repeat this a lot, and it's important. We've got to get this message out. And sometimes it takes a little convincing, because sometimes an emotion overtakes us and we think we're not in control. And for many people, they have indeed lost control. But with some practice and some intention to figure out what things mean and what you're going to do about it can help to change everything. And if you have something that keeps showing up over and over again in your life, something that's repetitive, something that keeps happening over and over again, then you can actually take that and practice getting in the way, give it a new meaning, and practice giving it some sort of action that you're going to do next time that same thing happens. This is a big deal. And with each emotion that you can practice and get better at, you'll have better tools to build your house. And your house is your life, the way you see the world, the way you experience the world. And so you have to use these tools better. And they were given to us naturally, just like blinking or breathing. And you can do them anytime you'd like. And you can do them without thinking. But if you can actually start to get in the way of those subconscious thoughts and start to actually decide how you want to feel, then you can start to live the life that you know you deserve and that you have wanted to live. And maybe for some of you lifers out there, you've already started the process, and that's great. Now practice. Practice. Right now, practice. Practice picking an emotion and doing it. If you don't follow me on Instagram, go and follow me on Instagram. Or Majic for Life, or both. And we will periodically put up emotions with their definitions and go practice doing that emotion on purpose. I know that sounds crazy, right? Maybe a little strange, but you can do it. You can practice feeling it, seeing it, hearing it, imagining that emotional state by imagining where you're at and what you're doing. And it's not that bad. It's not that hard to do, but it does take practice and discipline, and it's something you should have learned when you were in kindergarten. Why didn't they teach you? I don't know. They didn't teach me. I know that. And so us combined, well, that makes at least two of us, right? But practicing your emotions can be really fun. For many people, it's scary because what if you turned on an emotion that you didn't know how to turn off? And I understand that. That's completely viable reason to not turn one on. But I'll tell you what, if you start with some emotions that aren't so scary, just do happy, just do excited. And I know I'm using different language, and that's okay. I'm using it to exemplify the words. I want you to hear them, not just say them. I want you to understand what we're talking about in the background. So I'd like you to try an emotion. Try doing one. Right now, before you finish and go away to do something else, you're listening to this podcast, and I'd like you to try to do an emotion. Try to do one on purpose, just because. I know it might sound strange or maybe cliche or weird, but that's okay. Do it anyway. Think of a time that you're really happy, or think of a time that you're really grateful, and just fill your body with that emotion. Now, there are a lot of tools and special things that we can talk about along the way, and we can practice it, and I can guide you through it. But start now. Start practicing. You can do it. All right, guys. So we've got to build our tools, our emotional tools. I'd love to hear your success with this, or maybe if it's a challenge, I'd love to hear your challenges. Send me email if you'd like it, info@magicforlife.com. I'd love to hear from you and love to hear your successes and maybe challenges with doing one of your emotions. Send those over to me. I'd love to hear from you. Make sure you send over a rating if you love the podcast. We'd love to hear some feedback. Send us a testimonial, and we'd love to hear it. So send it over to info@magicforlife.com, and we'd love to hear from you soon. We'll see you next time on the podcast. Thanks for joining me today. Take care. Hey, lifers. We expect upgrades to the base operating functions of the things like our phones, cars, and even refrigerators. Why then has it not been made a priority that we upgrade the operating systems of our emotional states? We dance around the subject of emotional mastery from a young age. We have so much more knowledge in today's world, yet we're still teaching outdated methods of emotional education, if any are being taught at all. It's time for a change. It's time for an upgrade to our emotional education. Let me help you learn how to do that. Pick up your free copy of Every Minute at everyminutebook.com.